Hi, everybody. All right, so another story. It's 1979. I'm in Los Angeles. I get a call from my agent, and she goes, John, would you be interested in doing some stand-in and photo doubling work on 3 NBC TV movies for a major star? And I said, well, yes, absolutely. She goes, okay, they're doing the interviews down at Filmway Studio. Why don't you go ahead and report down there? So I get down to Filmway Studios, and I go up to the receptionist desk. I sign in, and she goes, the receptionist goes, thank you, John, why don't you go ahead and wait in the waiting room? So I go in the waiting room, and I look around, and there's about 10 other guys there, and they all look like me. Or I look like them, depending on how you want to look at it. All right, so I sit down, and after a few minutes, I see this guy walk in. He's wearing black horn-rimmed glasses, and he walks up to the receptionist desk, and they're chatting. And I'm looking at him, and I'm going, geez, he looks awfully familiar. And then I realize, that's Robert Blake. Now, for those of you who may be too young to know who Robert Blake was, because he passed away last year, if I had to give you 3 things that he is probably most well known for, the first one would be the ABC TV series Baretta, in which he played Baretta. The second would be the film In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, which won an Academy Award for Best Direction. And the third would probably be he was one of the little rascals in the Our Gang comedy series. And he was Little Mickey. And the reason he was Little Mickey, his real name is Mickey Gubitosi. Okay, so back to the waiting room. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, he turns around, he looks in the waiting room, and he makes eye contact with me. And now with those black horn-rimmed glasses on, he looks like he's angry. So I'm looking at it, and what seemed like an eternity, but it was just a couple of seconds. Then he turned around and walked into the room. So I'm sitting there in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, I haven't even interviewed for this job, and I already lost it. All right, so about 6, 7 guys had already gone in and interviewed, and then the receptionist, she goes, okay, John, you're up next. So I walk into the room, and in the room is the director, the camera operator, the electrician who's in charge of the lights, the makeup artist, and Mr. Blake himself, who's standing off in the corner somewhere. He likes to stand back and kind of observe everything. So first off, the makeup artist comes up to me, and she checks my skin coloring and the color of my eyes and my hair, which was black back then, and I had a lot of it. And she says, yeah, everything kind of matches up pretty good. Then the electrician comes up to me, and he wants to check to make sure that my skin, when they turn on those big lights, that my skin doesn't turn a different shade or anything like that, that it still matches Mr. Blake's skin color. And then after that, the camera operator, he checks me through the lenses of the camera to make sure that I read the same way as Mr. Blake reads in the camera. Then the director comes up and he starts talking to me, and I think basically what the director is doing, he wants to make sure that I'm not some nut job off the street, that I can handle being on a movie set with a major star and other major guest stars that'll be in these movies. So I passed that test also. So the director starts to ask me, he says, John, how tall are you? And I go, I'm about 5'8", 5'9". He says, oh, okay, you're a little bit taller than Mr. Blake, but he wears boots, so that may work out fine. And all of a sudden, over in the corner, I hear Mr. Blake go, hey, kid, come here. Now, I was a kid back then, so he wasn't being disrespectful. So he says, hey, kid, come here. He says, back to back. So we're back to back, and he turns to the director, and he goes, he fits, doesn't he? And the director goes, well, yeah, Robert, yeah, actually, he fits pretty good. He says, good. Kid, you're hired. I said, well, thank you, Mr. Blake. He says, go to the front desk, get a call sheet. It'll tell you the time and location and the dates that we're going to start shooting. And I'll see you on the set. I said, thank you, Mr. Blake. He was a man of few words. I said, thank you, Mr. Blake. And I started to walk out. All of a sudden, he goes, oh, hey, kid, wait a minute. I go, yes, Mr. Blake. He says, how much do you weigh? I go, well, back then, I weigh about 165 pounds. He goes, oh. He goes, I weigh about 175. He says, kid, how quick can you put on 10 pounds? I says, Mr. Blake, we're both Italian. I can do it within 2 days. He says, good. Do it. I'll see you on the set next week. So, so I get in my car. I'm driving home. I'm very happy. I stop off at the grocery store, and I buy 3 chocolate cream pies and a gallon of milk, and that was my diet for the next couple of days. And sure enough, I put on that 10 pounds, and I put it on quite easily, I might add. Okay, so I got the job. Now, I had an excellent education, college education as an actor. But working on a set with a star of the magnitude of Robert Blake, who's been working in front of the camera since he was 5 years old. He knows that camera like the back of his hand. That was an education within itself. Working on 3 TV movies with him, he taught me the ropes, a few of the ropes. He bumped me up, and so we were doing fight stunts, and I was doing minor stunts, climbing up and down walls and things like that. And he was showing me the correct way to do it, and he was showing me how to handle myself on the set, how to play to the camera. It was an education within itself, and I'm very thankful for Mr. Blake for all that. God rest his soul, and I was very lucky. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.